relationship on January 9th. The last time that I saw my son was January 8th. She removed him, Logan. Everything's better for Logan. Logan was removed from everything that he knew, everything. His friends at school, his dog, his father, his routine, his grandmother.
Not the dog.
There's been nothing said here about the fact that Mrs. Maui completely removed Logan from my life, my mother's life, who has stage 4 cancer, who luckily she got to spend the last 2 weeks with Logan because she had COVID and she was at her house on oxygen.
What's good? What's the word, everybody? Welcome. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more content. And we're going to get right to it. Y'all going to like this video. I know I always say that, but this one is a very interesting one. It'll show you different characteristics about people and how they can create a narrative or create a certain campaign to make you look completely negative and wrong. Without further ado, let's just play this out now. Let's see this. Get it.
Logan was removed from everything that he knew, everything. His friends at school, his dog, his father, his routine, his grandmother. 20 days. It will be 1 year exactly since this started. I've gotten to see my son 1 hour a week since July. He was illegally taken from me for 6 months over false accusations of a woman who was about to be exposed at work. 10 years ago when Holly had an affair. She was caught in a 1.5 year long affair with a coworker and, have her doctor boyfriend in her work, and it's all good. I don't care. She can move on. She has my blessing.
Mom changed the minor child school without dad's permission.
Maui versus Maui, taking time set for parenting time show cause hearing.
Hold on. Before we even get any further, they do say be mindful. Be wary of the nurses and the doctors. The doctors get freaky. It's not all nurses though, man. There's some good nurses out there, but in that work field, a lot of people get sloppy out there, especially in the parking lot.
As scheduled through the front of the court.
Good morning, Referee Hagan. This is Attorney Keith Kuhnman, P7456, on behalf of the plaintiff, Holly Maui.
Thank you. Ms. Maui?
Yes, Holly and Maui.
And Mr. Maui?
Yes, Lucas James Maui.
Thank you. Ms. Mullen?
Tracy Mullen on behalf of front of the court. We're here on complaints filed by Mr. Maui that Miss Maui is in violation of the default judgment of divorce, which was entered into August 11, 2023, in that she changed the minor child's school from Buckley Schools to Willow Hill without his permission or consent. He further alleges that she has failed to enroll the minor child in reunification counseling, which is also ordered as part of the judgment of divorce. 21-day notice was sent to parties on November 7th. Miss Maui did file a response with her office, which was received on November 28th. She does acknowledge having changed the school due to a relocation on her end, which changed the school district for the minor child. Logan, I believe, is 11 years old, and on page 2 of the custody provision of the mediated agreement, final order regarding the party's minor child, contained within the judgment, it does say under number 4 that the minor child shall.
I don't know if y'all can see there, but the child is 11 years old. That's what it just displayed for a second, but
And Buckley Schools, unless the parties mutually agree otherwise. As far as the reunification provision under parenting time of the minor child on page 3, it indicates that the parties shall work in concert to enroll the defendant, counterplaintiff Lucas, and the minor child into reunification therapy at Kids Creek Family Counseling or Child and Family Services of Northwest Michigan if Kids Creek Family Counseling is unable to or unwilling to provide reunification therapy. It does.
Why is it always Michigan, man? There's always something going on in Michigan. Let's continue though.
As part of her response, she indicates that she has reached out to in several attempts to find counseling for the minor child and Mr. Maui, but has not been successful in that. The minor child is in individual counseling. I believe Mr. Maui was also indicated that he's in individual counseling, but those counselors are not able and or possibly willing to do reunification therapy.
The judgment also provides them with joint legal custody, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Kuhnman, anything you'd like to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor. I will address the parenting time concern first. I think Ms. Mullen did a good job of reciting the correct provision into the record. It does say that the parties will work in concert to set up the reunification therapy. My client has contacted at least 4 places to try and set it up, the 2 that are referenced in the JOD and also Wellspring Lutheran. She also contacted Fountain Hill down in Grand Rapids recently after the 21-day show cause was issued. They agreed to take the case, but they did it with a caveat of a $6,000 retainer, which is essentially not tenable for these parties. As Ms. Mullen stated, there's 2 really conditions that have to be met: the reunification therapy and counseling by Lucas to even begin the safe haven supervised parenting time. But the parties have moved forward because it seems that the reunification provision is just not workable. So he has begun the safe haven supervised parenting time, even though the reunification therapy and his therapy, I don't know if that's been met or not. So that's where we're at. It seems like the better solution here would be either a motion to modify the judgment based on the reunification therapy being non-workable, or the parties going back to mediation to find a solution, or thirdly, just moving forward with stage 2 of the custody and parenting time order that's always in place. But there's no active will by my client here to defy the court's orders with respect to that parenting time provision. With regard to the school change, I agree with Ms. Mullen's recitation of that issue as well. The only caveat that I would add is that The timing here, what happened is my client got out of the women's domestic violence shelter that she'd been in since January. She got out in April or May. The judgment of divorce entered in August, and my representation of her ended at that time. Shortly thereafter, it was in time to enroll the child into schools. She had relocated to the Willow Hill School District, as was stated, and was no longer in the Buckley area. She had 100% of the overnights, and she didn't understand that the obligation upon her with joint legal custody. She was just trying to do her best to get back on her feet and get the child enrolled. The child is doing well.
Man, I get the lawyer's point and that standpoint of her trying to like get her life together as far as in getting the child enrolled after she moved. But it's like, come on, you got to be honest with each other, right? You don't just move to a new place and then not consult the father of the child that you had the kid with, and then think that you can just move the kid however you want to. It's not just your child; it's his also. You chose to have the child, and from looking at the last name, they were both married. You can tell they were definitely married. So if y'all decide to divorce, you also understand that, yo, listen, like, you have to be moving on an equal playing field. If you're moving to a whole nother town without the consent of the father and not letting him know or informing him everything that's happening, and y'all both don't come into a common ground and make the decision together, that would be considered kind of kidnapping legally. You feel me? That's as far as in moving to a different town. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if they moved into a different town, but she moved the child into a different school district because she moved to a new location. So I think that should have been something she should have discussed to see if that works for the father, instead of her just going there automatically and then saying, and now the lawyer is trying to make it seem as if, oh, no, she didn't know. So because she didn't know, like, they should let her like get away with it or give her some slacks. Trust me, man, it's usually not like that. A lot of the times they know. They just be wanting to do what they want to do, and that's the messed up part about it. But let's see how this goes.
At Willow Hill, he's attending counseling. I believe my client attached letters from the teachers saying that he's doing well. And I don't really think that moving the child back to Buckley is in the best interest of the minor child, or the children, or the minor child, pardon me. The final thing I would note in my client's defense is that there is a PPO in effect here in this matter, which does make communication between the parties difficult, especially in light during that intermediate period after the entry of the judgment of divorce and my representation beginning. So with all that being stated, we would impress upon the court that there was no intent to violate the court's orders. If she did so unwillingly or unknowingly, and she's apologetic for that. But ultimately, the child is in a better situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Maui, anything you'd like to say or add?
Excuses.
We had enrolled Logan in Buckley schools for specific reasons, moral reasons, things like that. We just didn't want him in the Traverse City school district. When Miss Maui decided
Hold on, yo, key thing, right? So when you hear him speak, he didn't say anything about, oh, I enrolled him into the Buckhead school for a specific reason. He says we. If you hear anything with the lawyer speaking of, he never even mentions the father. He just mentions the decisions that the ex-wife basically made on her own without consulting him. So you see like the difference with it, right? Like he acknowledges that, yo, like any decision that they made concerning the child, it was between him and her. It wasn't between just only him and the child. You get what I'm saying? So you can like see a big difference with how they both communicate, and you can see how involved and how certain people following the rules and the other person is not. The lawyer already messed up when how he was talking about how, oh, she decided to move there. She decided to enroll him into that school. So he's acknowledging that she didn't consult him. You feel me? And he's kind of like snitching on her without even like knowing it. But just listen to him. Listen to what the ex-husband says.
to leave the relationship on January 9th, the last time that I saw my son was January 8th. She removed him, Logan. Everything's better for Logan. Logan was removed from everything that he knew, everything. His friends at school, his dog, his father, his routine, his grandmother.
Not the dog.
There's been nothing said here about the fact that Mrs. Maui completely removed Logan from my life, my mother's life, who has stage 4 cancer, who luckily she got to spend the last 2 weeks with Logan because she had COVID and she was at her house on oxygen. And I mean, I could go on for days, but the lawsuit, and when we do discovery, that's when all of this will come out. I sat here and I've done everything that the court has asked me to do. I've not pursued Mrs. Maui. I have not even so much as asked one person if they know where she is, if they've talked to her, anything. I want.
Boom, kidnapping. That's kidnapping. Once you move to a whole specific new place, not even consult them, that can be used against you as kidnapping. Basically, he's saying that he has no way of communication with her, no nothing. And they already put out a PPO, so they put out a protective order against him. So I guess somebody had a situation with him, and then they put out a PPO. So because of that, he can't really be around them. All right, this is tough, man. Let's keep hearing it though.
Nothing to do with Mrs. Maui. I have been trying to get out of this relationship for the past 3 years. And I can show records, and we will do that in discovery, on where I have quit my job. I left for 3 weeks last year. Mrs. Maui took this opportunity to build me up in order to chop me down. And before she left, I made a threat that I was going to call her boss and expose her for what she had been doing, because my mother had COVID at the house. She was not testing, and she was going into work at Thurlby Clinic, putting people in danger. And I said that because I was mad, because Mrs. Maui and me were fighting. She'd become angrier and angrier as the days went on. And now I've also heard through other people, my friends, that she went and did a slander campaign on. Mrs. Maui expected me to commit. And when I didn't, she went on a slander campaign. And during the slander campaign, she didn't figure that Luke would ever make it back out of that house. Well, through counseling, through just wanting my son in my life, I don't care about anything else. I want Logan. That is my son. I love him. I have never abused him. And my mind's just spun here. In 20 days, it will be 1 year exactly since this started. I've gotten to see my son 1 hour a week since July. He was illegally taken from me for 6 months over false accusations of a woman who was about to be exposed at work. And I shouldn't have threatened her. I shouldn't have, but I did. And Mrs. Maui decided to show her true colors, because this is not the first time that this has happened, sir. I believe that I spoke to you and Mrs. Your Honor Witten 10 years ago when Holly had an affair. She was caught in a 1.5 year long affair with a coworker, and her coworker put a PPO out on me.
All right, so some of this, let's start to get, I'm going to have to rein some of this in.
I'm sorry.
How does it relate to the
10 years?
what's going on with reunification counseling? I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but 10 years
Right.
ago,
No, I know. Like I said, I could go on for hours. I'm sorry.
I was in a totally
He did
different
it to
county 10 years
himself.
ago.
I know. Okay. But I have no communication with her, sir. And I did also write to you to try and get the PPO removed. I know that it was past the 2 weeks. I never tried to get the PPO removed because I never wanted to talk to Mrs. Maui again. I wanted to communicate through Wizard or whatever in order to co-raise our child, and she can go and do better and have her doctor boyfriend in her work, and it's all good. I don't care. She can move on. She has my blessing. I just want my son. I haven't done anything to him. I haven't.
So, let me ask you this. Are you comfortable then
did
proceeding
do.
to the next stage in the judgment?
100%.
Okay, so we're good with that. You're progressing in the steps, correct? I mean, part of the issue here, I can say, I have some concerns because I don't believe that CFS even offers reunification therapy. So
They don't.
That's in the judgment. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that now. So I don't know if the two of you need to modify the judgment, or if you're willing to just move forward with the steps. Let's just head there. For enforcement purposes, I don't know that either of you are doing anything.
So correction, the PPO wasn't on her. The PPO was basically on the person that she was having the affair with. So that's the person that put out a PPO on him. So it wasn't on her. So he's supposed to be able to see the kid, but I don't know why he's only getting 1 hour a week to see the kid, which is wild, man. But let's keep it going.
Wrong in terms of contempt for the reunification therapy. So for that aspect of this hearing, I'm not going to find Ms. Maui in contempt. And I would recommend that you continue to move forward. If you feel like you want that provision changed, you'll have to seek other relief. But in terms of contempt,
Damn.
I don't believe that she's in contempt there. It sounds like she's made efforts, that both of you are progressing. You're in counseling, sir. You're
Wow.
having the visits. So we're doing well there. The issue with schools, though, what are you wanting as your remedy there?
Yeah, you see how the judges dismiss everything he just said? So that's like the thing that makes this kind of situation worse, because he's given the details of what led up to each and every one of this thing, which plays a key factor on her behaving the way how she behaves as far as in just moving the kid however she want to and doing whatever she want to. So, and the judge is like, man, we hear you, but we're not going to really use this in this case. That don't really matter, because I mean, the PPO's out, but if you didn't make any change to the PPO, that don't really mean nothing. So everything you just said, it was just, it sounds good. But we ain't going to do nothing about that. Now, what do you want to do about the school situation? You get what I'm saying? This is being dismissive. It's regular. Let's keep it going.
I want this person to quit acting like I died. I'm his boy's father.
Right.
And I want to say in his religion, his schooling, the people that he is around. My son came to a visitation the other day and told him that a person, he wouldn't tell me because his mother's instructed him to lie about who he's around. They stuck a 12-gauge shotgun in an 8-year-old's hand and let him shoot it while she sat there and videotaped it. Now I'm sitting here getting accused of threatening Mrs. Maui with guns, which I have never done. I got Mrs. Maui her CPL. I taught her how to shoot. I have taught my sons gun safety since they were old enough to recognize what a gun was. And I have sit here and I have been badgered. I have been I have just been slandered to the point where it's almost no recovery. The only thing I have left is the lawsuit. The
Are
lawsuit.
you
where
wanting your child to be returned to Buckley Schools?
At this point, it doesn't even, I mean, what's it matter? Now I'm doing more damage, right?
Well, I don't
This
know.
kid's already
This is
been
your,
through
you
enough.
filed the complaint. I'm looking for what you want. She's in contempt of the order. That is a
Yes.
finding I'm making. So on the school issue, I don't buy that she didn't understand the joint legal. And then not only that, but it's spelled out in paragraph 4. So
Finally.
you all specifically stated you wanted it to be a. Sometimes people say, well, I didn't know what joint legal custody is, I guess, but I don't believe that's the case here. And it's you can't deny that you all
It's clear.
agreed that Buckley Schools was going to be the school. My question is, are you, I'll get to a consequence in a second. She's in contempt for.
You know what's the funny part about this whole situation is that they're not even respecting the joint legal custody, because he's saying that he's getting about an hour a week with the child and all of that. It sounds good when they say that joint legal custody, but it's like you're not really getting equal custody of the child. You get what I'm saying? And now with him, I guess that it sounds like they actually probably did put a PPO on him, because she's trying to say that he basically abuses the child or like assaults the child and stuff like that. Mind you, they have someone else with a grip in their hands with another 8-year-old in front of the child, which is wild. This is crazy, man.
Sure, on that issue, but what are you wanting as your remedy for the school?
I want to be able to talk to the people that are educating my child. I don't think it's fair in any
Do
way.
you want him removed? Do you want him placed back in Buckley Schools? Is what I'm asking.
No, I don't want him placed back in Buckley Schools.
All right, so ma'am, I do find that you understood the order. I believe that you willfully violated the order. It's really hard for me to imagine that you didn't know when you specifically agreed that Buckley Schools was going to be the school, and then you moved the child without seeking any type of consent with Mr. Maui. I mean, you could have had a hearing. We could have gone over this. It's too bad the child's doing, or I shouldn't say it's too bad. What I was gonna say, it's too bad that you violated the order. It's great that the child's doing well. I'm even happier that Mr. Maui is consenting to the child remaining where he is. That's what I would prefer, or at least, we have a hearing on whether that school's appropriate. But right now, I trust Mr. Poonman that your child's doing well. So I'm gonna leave the school as is. But any change from there, just remember you have joint legal custody. You're not able to do that. In terms of any type of consequence, I'm gonna issue a $300 fine for violating the order. You'll have 6 months to pay that. If there's child support ordered, I'm comfortable if it's just in as a credit. So that she doesn't have to pay cash. But just remember, you have joint legal custody, and that's these types of decisions. If the two of you can't agree, you have to come to court first. I believe that you probably did that in the minor's best interest, but you have to, because the two of you don't agree, or I don't even know. There's not really any record of you even reaching out to ask Mr. Maui if that's okay. He's okay with it today, but you obviously knew that when you wanted Buckley to be put in your judgment, that was the school you wanted. So to change it was inappropriate and contemptuous. So you have the right to file an objection if you believe that the court made any errors, or if you have any issues with the court's ruling today, and then your objection will be heard by a judge. So thank you all.
Thank you.
I mean, as you can see with this whole situation, right? It's kind of weird. And they say joint legal custody is. I find it kind of ironic how like they can say you get joint legal custody, and at the same time you still have to pay child support. I think if it's gonna be in that sense, right? Both parties need to be paying a certain amount monthly or weekly, that invests into the child's life. So meaning if you want to get joint and legal custody, which is going to be 50-50, for it to be legal and joint, it would have to mean that both parties invest a certain specific amount, equal playing field, on an equal playing field. You spend the same amount. If one person spends $100, the other person spends $100 on the child. That's how it should be. You can't say that, okay, you want custody of the child, and then you now all of a sudden you can't pay for the child, but you expect someone else to give you money for the child. This is where I think that, okay, it's not as equal as people as how people say it. You feel me? The fact that they even crediting it out of his child support is wild. You get what I'm saying? So as you can tell, he's still paying child support. That's something that's happening. He's paying child support, but yet again, he's supposed to have joint legal custody. And then he only gets 1 hour a week with the child. You feel me? Like, and even with him agreeing to her leaving the child at the school, he's saying out of frustration. That's what happens in most cases with fathers when they can't get, like, put it this way. If you tried every single option and this is not working out, and you don't want to mess up the relationship with you and the child, right, at that point, or you don't want to mess up the relationship between them and their mother, you don't want to screw things up. So you'll just be like, you know what, look, the child is there, it's cool. I just wanted it to be communicated to me so we could come into the perfect agreement onto this thing happening. And when that doesn't happen, that's what creates a lot of these frustrations and all these arguments, all these tensions that are just unnecessary when everything could have just been communicated. She was doing it to be spiteful. She moved out of town and then moved the kid into a whole new school district. You feel me? Like, all that's unnecessary. Why would you move a child into a whole new place and not tell the father, not consent? Like, not tell the father and ask for their consent for that. Then you probably move far away from them. So now they probably got to take time off work to go see the child. And at the same time, while they're taking time off work, they basically losing money and they're not able to pay you child support. It's like, these are certain tactics that like backfires a lot of times. And I think a lot of women don't think about this before they do it. You move into a new town not knowing that, okay, when you do that, it's going to make it harder for the father to see the child. Sometimes they actually know that it makes it harder for the child to see the father. So that's what sometimes they will purposely do it. You feel me? And then they will do that just to keep poking you. Just like keep poking the bear. You can't keep poking the bear and then not expect them to attack you. So that's what happens. And I'm not saying any man should be retaliating against women or use physical force in anything. Don't ever use that. I think you should go the legal route and just gather evidence on all of these things. You get what I'm saying? And as for him, he was very patient with it. And I don't think he should be okay with the child staying at that school. I don't think he should be. Sometimes you just got to like really stand your ground and be like, nah, man, no is no. You didn't communicate it with me. I don't want the child to be there. It's simple. I'm the father of the child and you're also the mother of the child. This is our child. It's not your child. Because a lot of the times, in most cases, when people do be speaking, they say, oh, my child, my child, my child. It's not just your child. It's our child. So because it's our child, we both have to come into an agreement for any decisions that needs to be made for the child. You don't make decisions without me about the child. That's how it's supposed to go. Now, if they want to say joint legal custody, it means joint legal child support also from both parents. Mother pays, father pays. Mother pays, father pays. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be father just pays, and mother pays nothing. Because there's a lot of mothers I know that are living off of child support, and that's wrong. It's foul. It's wrong and it's very foul. Both parents should be equally involved into their child's life financially. For a fact, if you want to separate, then you should both be legally, financially supporting the child. That's how it should be. If that's the case and you don't want to do that, then don't separate. Work things out. It's just that simple. I don't know why people consistently leave and then they think that things are supposed to be just given to them after they left. You just broke your family. Now, there are certain exceptions to the rule, right? There are certain people that have to leave due to either them becoming widowed or not. I mean, that's a different case, right? Them becoming widowed. I mean, you can't really get child support when you're widowed, but them separating due to abuse and negligence and stuff like that. So in those cases, I think, 100% women should leave. And if the father's not involved with the child, 100% put them on child support. If they're a deadbeat, put them on child support. But don't put a good person that's actually trying to be there for their child on child support. That doesn't make no damn sense. Especially when you know they're supporting their child and they're doing everything they need to do for their child. But because you want to be spiteful, you want to put them on child support and ruin their life. And then not only that, you want to move out of town. Not only that, you had an affair with a coworker. Man, this is crazy. This is a crazy case, man. We're going to do more videos on these things, man. I really want to give more awareness to these kind of situations because there's a lot of people that are going through this and people don't hear their side. And when certain guys speak about these kind of things, people basically come out and say, no, they're lying. Oh, I don't know what kind of woman they dealing with. Most women don't do this. That's a lie. In this world that we live in now, there's a lot of women doing it. The difference is now we have it on camera now. We have it on Zoom calls. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people are very grateful for a lot of these Zoom call court appearances. It's very interesting because now it's really revealing a lot of things that people talked about and they're not being heard. And most men are not being heard when they speak about these kind of things. And when they do speak their story, people basically dismiss it or say they're lying or they will question, oh, what did you do for her to become this way? What do you mean? Some people are chameleonaires. They know how to deceive you. They're very deceptive. And they can adapt to the environment. They will adapt for the moment and then reveal their true colors later on. That's just what it is, man. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button for more content. We will be dropping more, so stay tuned. Peace.